Okay guys, can you see my screen?
Yes, we do.
Okay, great. Okay, great. I don't know, my computer is a bit slow tonight. Let me try screen sharing like this. Okay. Hello everyone, welcome to tonight's mentorship session. We are connecting tonight's session from an organization called Bold Her Voice, which is a organization that mainly focuses on development of Afghan girls, especially when it comes to writing down the stories or like drawing kind of arts or paintings that would describe and represent their identities and also about the challenges that they've been facing so far. And this initiative was also a part of this organization which we like want to help Afghan girls who are currently applying to UWC scholarship. And luckily, as I'm the person who is the project manager in Bold Her Voice organization, I was the finalist in UWC scholarship last year. At that time, I was able to make it until the last round. That was like the virtual activity, but I was successfully able to pass the application phase and interview phase. And throughout this 3 days of mentorship program, we will be guiding you about the application and also about the interview, and we'll be inshallah covering all the points, all of the things that you guys should consider. And also you're gonna be implementing in your own applications, and also like you should be meticulously applying all the things that will be mentioned in these sessions. So to start off with, in tonight's session, I'll be mainly talking about the essays. So I know that application phase has a lot of components. For example, essays are not the only section. There are like videos, the personal information sections. Also, I don't really remember the exact sections right now, but as I know that I think essays are like kind of the sections that majority of the Afghans find it kind of bit difficult and arduous. So I want to start off our session with the essay so that you guys will be a bit more familiar with the key strategies to follow, what things you guys should consider, and etc. So let's just dive in. Okay, in this presentation, we will be talking about the. Hello, sorry.
I said I don't have your screen.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I have your screen now.
Is it the same for everyone? I'm sorry, I thought that it's like a...
we have it.
Okay, great. Okay, great. Okay, so basically in tonight's presentation, I will be talking about how to write impactful yet meaningful essays. I will be talking about key things that you guys should follow, about the values that what UWC mainly wants, what kind of student UWC really wants, and what kind of persons are like the most suitable person for the UWC environment. I'll also bring as an example of my own essay that I submitted last year to give you guys like an inspiration of what things to follow and how to like craft your own essays. And I will also be giving you guys tips of UWC values and how to connect them to your own stories and your personal activities in UTC. And consequently, these such things and also all these points and strategies will give you guys confidence, hopefully, and you guys will feel confident on what you guys have been following with. Okay, so actually I want to start with the UWC values, because crafting your own essays and starting writing your essays without knowing the exact values will be such a waste. Because I've seen a lot of people who got rejected. I can just estimate that literally all the people who got rejected, their essays didn't really reflect these values. And for example, they just say that, okay, I am someone who is very compassionate, I know intercultural understanding, but they didn't really show these stories, and they didn't really align these values with their own stories. And we're going to be also talking about such points later on. So first of all, let me first define these values. And so first of them is international and intercultural understanding. So what does it mean? It means that you guys should have a thorough understanding of country's culture. It doesn't necessarily mean that you guys should know about all the country's culture. At least it is better to have an understanding of to understand the beliefs of different people. For example, maybe like in US or maybe like in Asia. That is also, for this reason, it is really important that you guys have a very rough and complete understanding of what things are going on around the world and what things people really care about and what things are associated with their own cultures and beliefs. So it's really important that you guys have a leverage knowledge of the cultures, the beliefs, and the mindset of the people. So understanding and having this value will give you guys an edge, especially in the application and the interview process. The next thing is compassion and service. It means that it actually really relates to your own personality, even if this value doesn't really correlate with your own activities and extracurricular activities. If you're able to show this with your reflection or your own personality, you guys will be good to go. And then the third one is respect for the environment. Of course, you guys will know about it. Leadership and personal responsibility, which is, I think you guys can reflect this value, for example, through showing maybe the clubs that you were involved with or maybe the projects that you led. So this way, maybe you guys can reflect on what kind of leader you were, what kind of problems you solved, and also being a leader really reflects on what kind of personal responsibilities you took so far. So it is also really important aspect that you guys should consider while writing your essays. And the next thing is commitment to action and community impact. So of course it is basically about the community service. So for example, I can give it like an example. For example, like in Afghanistan, I would say 2.2 million girls have been banned from their education, and their dreams of becoming doctors, engineers, like they all have been like actually gone. So maybe your younger sister, your younger like maybe cousins who didn't go to school for the past 4 years, maybe you could say that, okay, I've been teaching maybe English, maybe school subjects, or like maybe math for them. And then you can write this in your essay, and this will be actually your presentation of this value. And yeah, you'll be just like very kind of like increasing your chance of being accepted this way. So as a common tip, for example, you guys might have been maybe like wondering on how I can really actually associate these values to all of my essays. So it is not really such a very hard thing. For example, in UWC's essays, there are actually many prompts. So I can estimate that there are at least 5 prompts. Like, for example, it says that describe, maybe like give me reasons on why you are a very great candidate, since there are already maybe like many and thousands of people applying to this scholarship every year. So maybe you can actually reflect one of your value in one essay. Or for example, there is like another prompt. It's saying that describe a challenge and how you overcame that challenge. Maybe in that essay you can reflect the value of self-responsibility, right? The resilience value. So it is really important that you guys are considering each of the values, at least if you cannot uh, if you cannot associate 2 of the values in one essay, at least one is better, so that you guys can maybe add some of the activities that correlate with the other value. And it really depends on each person, because I know that each of the candidates did different activities, did different extracurricular activities, so I can't really specify what values should be added in what essay. So it really depends on your own strategies and tips. So, moving on to the roles of the essays. So, why essays are really important? And people, I think you might have heard that essays are the main part of the application, and it is the key. Like whoever writes a very great essays, that person will have a higher acceptance, And the reason why the main reason for this is that the essays really gives you guys opportunity to demonstrate your own values, demonstrate what kind of person you are. And it just talks about what kind of person you are beyond your grades. So let's take someone as an example. Someone who got a 100% in their 9th grades. Okay? Someone who got 100% in the 9th grade, as an example of myself. And then someone who got 100% in their transcript while the person was in 9th grade. But that person did a lot of activities. That person led a lot of projects. That person led clubs. That person volunteered in places. That person served his or her community. That person showed resilience. That person faced more challenges. That person wrote better essays. And then, when it comes to grades are really not that important. The main thing here is that when you have essays, despite having lower grade, and you have a better and stronger background, the essays are really important in showing what kind of person you are, okay? And then there's also, the essays give you opportunity to show your personal stories. And these personal stories will give you an edge on how to correlate the UWC values. For example, there's like a prompt, okay? There's like a prompt, describe a challenge and what strategies you follow while solving this challenge and what things you learned, right? So in this prompt, you guys shouldn't be really talking about your opinions, okay? You guys should write down about your personal stories. For example, you can say that, okay, it was 4 years ago, the Taliban came. For example, I cannot really craft this story right now, because each person's story is different and each person has different personalities, values, and etc. So you guys should take these essays, for example, those prompts, as an opportunity to write personal stories. And what personal stories reflect should be about your own values. What kind of person you are. Are you a kind person? Are you a compassionate person? Are you someone who is so resilient? And this should be an opportunity for you guys to make you guys look more different, because there are thousands of candidates, there are thousands of applicants who are applying, this year. For example, I can imagine that 2 years ago, I guess around 1,000 people applied, in 2 years ago, but last year it went to 2,000. Or I can even imagine that this year might be even more, since yeah, I think this year is not getting even worse. So maybe I can assume, but I'm not 100% sure that this year maybe the application phase and the interview phase might have been a bit harder. So you guys really should be very meticulous on what you guys are jotting down. And of course, in the essays, you guys should also reflect about your thinking, actions, and character. Of course, just as I mentioned, you can do it with your personal stories. So, okay, so about the stories, you guys might be wondering, okay, so you talked a lot about personal stories, and I don't know what kind of stories to choose. So, okay, just as I also mentioned, UWC values, right? So you can just, think about the UWC values. What were they? Okay, they were like compassionate, sense of compassionate, and then resilience, also the community service, and intercultural understanding, right? I'm not sure if I mentioned all of them, but there were some that I have them in mind. So, okay, you should pick kind of stories that reflect the UWC values. Also, you should, craft your stories in a way that would show your personal growth, and then also it will show that you are aware of who you are, what kind of person you are. And then also, for example, about the essays that you guys really want to show about the activities that you did, you should like align it in a storytelling way. It's really important, and this will kind of like show you that you're like kind of someone who did like leadership things, and you also impacted the community and etc. And then also talk while you're writing your essays, talk about challenges that you overcame with, and then also talk about maybe engagement of, in your engagement with the community, because as I said before, UWC cares about people who are more engaged, who are more interested in collaborating with people. So also, it is a really great point that you guys should keep in mind while writing your application. Just like make sure that you are not like kind of someone who is really like introverted, although it's not a bad thing. Because yeah, this is what UWC wants. So even if you're like someone who's like kind of different, you should make the UWC values and the type of person that UWC cares about as a priority, even if it's something that doesn't really make you, Okay, so another point is the STAR method: the situation, task, action, and result. So what it is, you might have been confused right now, but it is actually a method that you guys can follow while writing your essays, and it is also like a strategy of storytelling that can show that your essays are in order. For example, there's like a prompt of that you guys need to talk. You guys need to write about the challenge and what things you learned, and then also how you overcame it, right? So, for example, here the situation can be, okay, the problem, right? Taliban came in the country, and then the task would be, okay, the task may be about setting a purpose. For example, maybe shifting your mind to pursuing the education, even like despite harsh conditions and also the political situations as well. And then the action might be maybe how you developed as a person, how you have the opportunity to, get involved to other opportunities. For example, how you developed as a person. For example, when you set that goal, what things paved the opportunity for you guys to actually develop yourself. For example, what kind of tasks you did, what kind of projects you did, what kind of skills you developed after setting that purpose. And then for the result, of course, it's about the reflection that I already mentioned before. You guys should talk about, okay, maybe for the result, it's like a conclusion that you write in your essays. Maybe for the result, you guys can say that, okay, maybe you can also write down some motivational quotes, or like maybe you can say that, okay, I just like all of these challenges, all of these tasks, all of these commitments that I made so far made me believe that education can happen in everywhere, and education has the potential to change lives. And in etc, you can just like write down what things pop up in your minds. So yeah. Okay. Okay, when it comes to structuring your essays, you should really be open-minded. Okay, you should be really open-minded, and also you should not really also, you should not rush. For example, I've seen like a lot of candidates who really try to write down their essays like in 2 days or 3 days, and I'll just say that it's not really a great strategy. Even if the candidate is really someone who is extremely busy, essays should be like the priority, not only because of the time, but also, uh, it will give you the opportunity to think. Okay, giving and allocating more time will give you the opportunity to come up with more ideas. For example, like if someone who's writing down the essays, that person will not, will not be able to come up with so many points. And giving yourself more time will allow you to do more self-reflection with yourself. Think about your past, what achievements you had. Maybe someone who did so many activities, who did so many extracurricular activities, maybe that person really forgot maybe some slight details. And then maybe that slight detail is that unique that will get the person accepted. So it is really important. And then also, you guys should explain your experiences, challenges, and reflection, just as I mentioned before. And then also, connect your stories with the UWC values. And then you should also talk about your future goals. Yeah, it's not only about the reflection and the conclusion that you guys make. It's also about, future goals. Okay, there is, okay, so here it is a example of my own essay. Can you guys please take a moment to read this one, and then let me know when you guys are like done reading.
Hi, can you zoom it a little bit?
Okay.
Thank you.
Hello guys, I saw some people who raised their hands, and please, can you guys put your questions in the chat box if you have any, and if you don't, maybe yeah, you can talk. And also do let me know when you're done reading. Okay, so I think you guys are like done reading. Okay. Okay, so let me read myself because I don't remember what things I wrote last year. So here, describe a time when you faced a personal challenge or a challenge within your community. How did you approach the issue and what did you learn about yourself in the process? So I can just read and then I can highlight or I can just like mention the points that reflect you what part of the UWC values. Okay, one of the biggest challenges that I face personally in my community is the lack of education resources in my community, Afghanistan, where higher education is banned for girls, which is triggering my community's young girls to lose hope and restricting the challenge, and many girls are accepting these limitations due to political conflicts. Okay, so as I just mentioned, there was like a star method, right? A star, like the situation. For example, here, like right, when it was about crafting your own essays, right? When it's about when it's about crafting a very great essay, you guys should first start the essay with the situation. Okay, so this part was the situation, right? The Taliban came, the higher education got banned. Okay, so let me proceed. Although it significantly affected my mental health and made me face psychological disorders, I couldn't accept that this rule should be a reason that would hold me back from becoming a doctor, or where I could help my community's young girls to make them feel better both mentally and physically. Okay, so this part was action, right? Oh wait, star. What was the other one? Yeah. So this part was the purpose one, right? This part was the purpose one. My purpose was like to not allow this political situation to hold me back from pursuing my education, and then not to not allow it to prevent me to help my community's young girls. Okay, so this was, and then this part should be the action. Okay, after taking this purpose, what things I developed and what actions I took. Okay, so let me read it. Instead of being highly discouraged and undermined, I took initiative and looked for other alternatives where they would help me pursue my dream. I applied an international high school that I never thought I would get into because of my low confidence. But through making some interviews and subject tests, I was able to get 100% financial aid and meet my international friends. Similarly, I enrolled in some of the online courses like SAT, UI, UX Design, and Python to help me get future ready for my upcoming initiatives, and I volunteered to teach to my friends. Okay, so this part was the action, right? After taking that purpose, what things I achieved and what kinds of things, what kind of skills I developed. And then this part should be the reflection part. Okay, this part should be a reflection. You guys should never ever forget to write down the reflection and what things popped up in your mind, and also your sense of motivation to push forward, to push up, and then say no to being collapsed and things like that. Okay, so throughout this experience, I came up with the idea that there's always one light, even in the darkest tunnels, and that we can find this through showing resilience of what we faced. Okay, can any of you tell me that this sentence that I read reflects what's UWC value? Which of the UWC value? I mean, okay. So here, throughout this experience, I came up with the idea that there is always one light, even in the darkness, and that we can find this purpose showing the resilience of what we have faced. So this part shows the resilience value, the personal responsibility value. And then I took this essay as an opportunity to reflect at least one part of the UWC's value. Okay? So it is important that you guys have such things in mind. Okay, I learned that while facing, I think the other part is like not that important. Okay, so now let me go to the other part. Okay, when it's about aligning your stories, you guys should reflect about the activities and also the stories that you already did so far. So it's not only one prompt of the essay that I just showed. There are like many prompts. For example, there are like prompt that is basically about tell me why you're a better candidate than other candidates. Okay, so in that part, you guys should think about your best activities. Even if you don't have best activities, think about the meaningful involvement. Think about the contributions you did so far, what kind of approaches, and how you showed leadership, how you showed your sense of compassionate in your kindness in etc. And then one thing to keep in mind is that you should focus on your meaningful involvement. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter that you involved in many, for example, 10 extracurricular activities. And in that, if in that 10 extracurricular activities, if you were not that consistent, and if you didn't show many contributions, that wouldn't really work. But in contrast, if someone who did like 3 extracurricular activities and that person was consistent, who showed higher contribution, and also had a very big impact through that activity, that person will be more qualified. I'm just like talking about the experience that I had so far. And then also, while writing down your activities, you should also talk about the skills you developed, the responsibility, teamwork, and impact. So as an example, last year in my application, I wrote like about the project. I mean, like in the activities part, there was like a teamwork that I wrote about. So there was like an international competition. I just wrote that, okay, so I was like working in a teamwork, and I was like the leader, and there was like one of my team members who didn't really show responsibility and didn't do her tasks in time and before the deadline. So after that, I was like really furious, and I was just like kind of angry that why she's not doing all of her tasks on time. And then after that, I reflected with myself, and I just really thought that maybe she's like having some problems, or maybe family issues, or maybe even like other factors that is like not allowing her to do her own tasks on time. And then after that, I reflected with myself, and then I just like really approached her like as a friend. And then after I heard that she had like internet issues, internet problems, and that was the reason why she didn't, she was not able to do her tests on time. And then I said, I reflected with myself, okay, this time I didn't really have a sense of empathy, and this gave me a lesson to develop myself as a better person, as a kinder person. And this was a lesson that I had when I was involved in such activities. And this not only had an impact on my community through the project, but it also had an impact on my own self, about my own personal values and my personality. Now, when I'm working on other personal projects or in group projects, I approach with my team members with more empathy, with more sense of kindness, and with more sense of compassionateness. And yeah, so it's like a personal story. You guys shouldn't really be objective. You guys should be like subjective, both objective and subjective. And you should not forget that you are more important than others, okay? Although it is important that to write down about the impact that you have in the community, but you should mainly talk about what kind of person you are. It's like the personality is the most important thing, okay? Yeah. Also, you should reflect about what you learned, not just about what you did. Also, when it comes to the stories, just as I gave an example, you should ask yourself these questions. Which UWC value does this show? Okay, which UWC value does this show? The example that I give you right now, that example I think gives the value of compassionate. Yeah, sense of being a compassionate person. Yeah. Also, you should ask this question: how does this reflect my character? Okay. And also, how does this contribute to a diverse and inclusive community? Okay, so the example that I give you, that was like a lesson for me to, allow me to, be more engage with other people, the sense of empathy and etc. So you guys can also craft your own stories, because that was my life, and of course your life is different. So some common mistakes that you guys should avoid. So when it comes to essays, it is not really recommendable to use a lot of advanced words. For example, in English, of course, it is a very complicated language, and there are like many synonyms. For example, like if there, for example, in one word in Farsi, there are like maybe 10 synonyms in English. You can find it in dictionary, of course, but try to be more normal, okay? Try to look more human, okay? Because yeah, the more normal that you look, the more your essay will look more impressive. Also, don't use too much simple words. I would say that like create a balance between both, okay? And also, if you incorporate many high words, it will make your essay so much, so big, and it wouldn't really, reflect your values, and then yeah, it will not really give the main idea actually. Also, one of the mistakes that people make is like listing achievements without reflection. Okay, so just as I said, when you're crafting and jotting down your activities, your extracurricular activities, and then also, especially when it comes to personal stories, it is like a very big mistake if you write it down without a reflection. It's always necessary to write a reflection of how you think, of what kind of person you became after that, what kind of impact this particular activity or this personal story or like that particular situation changed you as a person. Okay, when it in terms of like skills, or like what kind of, in terms of personality, or like anything, it can be anything. Also, it's one of the other mistakes is like focusing only on academic success. Okay, so here, I can give you one example. There's like a prompt that you guys need to write down about the weekly schedule, right? There's like a prompt that you guys should identify the activities that you do over 1 week. So you guys, I saw many people who wrote like so many activities, so many extracurricular activities, or like so many lessons, schoolwork, etc., projects, etc. But all the achievements, the achievements is not the key to success. Actually, it's like really assure that. So it's also important. For example, listing out too many achievements will overshadow your own personality. Okay, for example, like in the weekly schedule, you should not list all the achievements. You should also talk about what kind of person you have. So there's like a section that instructs you to write down about also other things. For example, like maybe family tasks, or like caring of your siblings, take care of your siblings, and etc. You should also talk about that. But if you talk only about the achievements, they will think that okay, this person is like very like someone who is like focused on achievements, and that person doesn't care about her family or his family. So you should make a balance of both. Okay, don't only focus on one. You should make a balance. Also, the other thing is focusing only on okay, yeah, I talked about this. You should also the other mistake is ignoring personal growth or challenges. I think I mentioned this as well. So yeah, so I have an activity for you guys. There's like 5-minute story activity. So my instruction is that you guys should write about a moment, like you guys, like, here's the prompt. You guys should write about this: a moment that you helped someone, learned something new, or overcame a challenge. You guys can pick, maybe like there's like 3 things. Maybe you guys can pick one, and then you guys can incorporate the STAR method that I just mentioned a little bit before. And then also After that, you should ask these questions from yourself. What did you learn about yourself? Also, which values of UWC did you reflect? Oh my god, where was it? Here. Yeah, you should also think about the UWC values that your essay reflected, okay? Although it's like 5 minutes of activity, I don't think you guys will be able to write then a very great essay in this limited time. So maybe you guys just like take your time, maybe in your computer if you want to type, or maybe like in your notebook if you want to like write down. So maybe you guys can take turns and speak in order, so I can give you feedback. Yeah, so I will limit the time now, and then you guys can start it. Okay, guys, I think the time is finished now. Does anyone want to talk about the essay that they wrote? Okay, I don't know who first raised their hand. Okay. Uh, Mariam Karimyor, do you want to speak? Okay, Anaita.
Hello, so sorry, but if I speak after another person.
Okay. Okay. Ubaida, do you want to speak up? I think it is not here. Mahtab Ibrahimi.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. I actually write a small paragraph, and I'm actually mention it is in my application, and I've written it, and I'm gonna read it for you. When I started my work as a teacher in an academy, a blind student wanted to learn English. I was assigned to be his teacher. At first, it was very challenging, but after researching a lot, I found some useful methods. I started teaching him using audio lessons, note taking in braille system, and discussing method. As a result, he was able to speak in English and even won a speech competition. Additionally, I realized by empathizing with people, no matter their diversity, I can impact positively and even open doors for them. That was it.
Yeah, that is actually great. That is great. Um, in the time frame of 5 minutes, I think you wrote a very great story. It was about learning English and also finding new opportunities to demonstrate your impact, put positive impact in your community, and yeah, that was great. Maybe you can also talk about the challenges that you faced while taking this learning journey. For example, like in learning English, about the challenges you faced and also how you showed sense of resilience. But that was actually a very great story. Also, make sure that your story shows and demonstrates at least one of the UWC values. Yeah, that was great. Um, okay, Nigah Sirat.
Can I speak?
Yeah.
Okay, about this issue. Last year, I started listening to a young girl in my neighborhood who had never studied the language before. At first, um, they were shy and afraid to speak even simple words, and she kept saying, "I cannot do it." I created fun and simple lessons using picture songs and short stories, and I encouraged her every step of the way and reminded her that mistakes are part of learning. Slowly, her confidence grew after a few months, and she was able to introduce herself in English and read short paragraphs aloud. That moment, when she smiled after reading her first story without help, I realized that teaching isn't just about knowledge, it's about believing in someone until they believe in themselves. That experience taught me the power of support, the passion, and the joy of helping others overcome fear and doubt. And also needed to reflect to the values of the service to others, um, anything and come person, and also by helping a girl overcome her fear of learning English. I felt kindness, shared my knowledge, and inspired confidence.
Yeah, that was a great story. Yeah, I liked it a lot. You gave robust detail on every single thing, and then also what approaches you followed, what key tasks you did, to be able to put your impact and help the person in English, in learning English. That was really great. Yeah, you gave detail, and you kind of incorporated the STAR method, like the situation, action, and also you also added the reflection. You also added the personal anecdote and of the belief that you came up with after doing this activity. And yeah, I could say that it's pretty much like a perfect essay. So, Hania,
For the point, at the end of our essay, should we mention the values of UWC and like this, our story depends on these values of UWC. Should we mention at the end of essay?
no. You should never write down that I am someone who knows, cultures of the world. I am compassionate. You should never. I mean, this is like the biggest mistake. Okay, you should not mention. You should not write. You should show it. Okay, you should show it with your personal stories, with your activities. Okay. Anaita. Okay. Niga, did you speak?
I've already written my essays. They are prepared. So if you want, I'll share with you and just give me some feedback about them. So I think now it's not necessary.
Okay. Okay. What about other people? Mariam.
So, hello once again and good night, everyone. Hope you all be doing great. So, here I've written a short paragraph about that. So, I'm gonna start with it. During my time as a volunteer English teacher at a local learning center, I noticed that one of the students, a 14-year-old girl, was struggling with grammar and 3 times a week. I approached her after class for 30 minutes. 3 times a week, I created simple, engaging grammar exercises and used interactive speaking games to build her confidence. I also stayed in regular contact with her parents to keep them involved and motivated. And that's it.
Okay, that is great. That is great. So you kind of like mentioned about the things you took, about setting tasks, preparing grammar things, also teaching English. I could maybe suggest you to I suggest to add more details. For example, the impact that maybe teaching English had on you. Also, teaching English help your student, like in what way? For example, in what extent? For example, you improve that your students' English level from what level to what level, okay? And then just like add the impact and also an impact on yourself, okay? So
okay, ma'am. So may I ask another question from you?
Yeah.
So when we're gonna write a letter, we're gonna give some information about something. So it is in format of an essay, and we have to write 4 paragraphs or 3 or 4 is enough.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't get your question.
So when we're gonna, give some information or write an essay, so we have to to have 5 paragraphs or 4 or 3 is okay.
Well, so for
Or
paragraphs, it doesn't really matter. As long as you meet the word limits, it's really okay. It doesn't really matter you write 4 paragraphs or like 3 paragraphs. It doesn't really matter. Also, in each paragraph, it's really up to you. It's really up to it's really up to the longitude of the points that you want to convey, okay, in your essays. So if it is 2 paragraphs that is too long in one essay but meets the word limit, that is okay. But if it is like maybe 4 or 3 paragraphs in one essay, but they're like kind of shorter paragraph and still worth the word limit, that is also okay. It really depends, okay? But I would suggest that maybe keeping your paragraph more detailed, more meaningful, than, rather than, separating the paragraphs that are like not too meaningful and then adding maybe like, not detailed things. So I think that would be my suggestion.
So, what if I use more advanced grammar sentence structures in words? Does it matter, or I should use simple words that it should be more understandable?
I think you should use simple words, but also add some advanced words to show your English. But don't make it too vague by adding too many advanced words. There are like many English words, too many English advanced words that are not commonly used in today's era. So some of the English words were, they used to be used in the communication maybe like 100 years ago, 200 years ago, and they're like kind of obsolete now. They're not used. And then maybe if you like go to the grammar or like a translator, and if you pick up those words and then you add them in your essay, that will be a weakness and it will make it vague. So that was the reason why I was, I can suggest add more normal words, not too much simple, but also not too much advanced, and you should keep a balance.
Okay, ma'am, thanks the world, and thank you so much once again.
Can I read mine?
Okay, I think we don't have much time. Maybe you guys can send your essays maybe like in the group, because there are like many people who raise their hands, and then if we like talk about each of them, if you guys talk about each of your essays, it will take a lot of time. So it is like kind of better to add your essays on the group so that I can look more closely, identify the patterns of your weaknesses in each essay, so that, yeah. But I think even if you don't, talk about your own essays, I think you guys have like the key things in mind of what to follow. Yeah. So, let's like continue. So, when it comes to the summary, if I compile all the things and all the points, strategies and tips that I just talked about, I could say that for the step 1, brainstorm about your personal stories and activities. First of all, even before starting your essays, just have a thorough self-reflection with yourself. You could maybe take like maybe 10 to maybe 20 to 30 minutes, just like think about your deep past, what things you had, what contribution you did, not only about activities but also about achievements. So jot them down in bullet points, so that they will be like a glimpse for you of what to add. And so you guys might not be like wondering about, or like maybe getting points from ChatGPT and etc. Because all of the essays should represent you, not others. Not like general things, not things about others. Okay. Also, after presenting your activities, okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
But what if we first write our essays, then we send it to AI to just make it more dynamic, or maybe correct the grammatical mistakes?
Okay, that is a great question. this could be something that you can do at the end, or maybe you can maybe use ChatGPT as a tool to maybe like craft your essays in a professional and more like improved way, so that you guys will have a total glimpse of what things and also what kind of order to follow. For example, like the order that ChatGPT uses is very like kind of advanced and a bit more impressive than yours. Maybe if your essay is like maybe in B2 level, it will maybe take it to C1 or something between C1 and C2. But the thing that I can say is that even the thing that ChatGPT says should be really about you, okay? Not about things of ChatGPT. It should demonstrate you. Or maybe you can like you can send your activities and your extracurricular activities to ChatGPT, and then you can say that, okay, write down a very impressive essay that will reflect UWC's values. And in that way, you can just like take a look at the example of the AI, and then maybe you can think about, okay, so this is like example of a good essay, and then how my essay will look. Also, one thing that I can suggest is that try to not like use the words of ChatGPT, because if you follow the same pattern, if you follow the same writing structure of ChatGPT, you'll be cooked. Actually, you'll like okay, the chance will be gone, because UWC people, the people who the people who check the applications, they always use a website that checks the probability or like the percentage of AI used in the writings, okay? And then if you rely too much on ChatGPT, they will notice it, because it is really, really easy. And there are like numerous tools that can like really, disclose everything, disclose like the use of ChatGPT. Okay, so UWC wants you to be you, not robots. That's it. Okay, so the other thing is that after pinpointing your ideas, your self-reflection, the things you did in the past, try to connect your activities into UWC's values. Okay, for example, you did one project, and then after that you're gonna look at UWC's values. There's like a responsibility and leadership. Okay, so in that activity, the project that you did in the past, you should craft the story of that project in a way that would demonstrate of your leadership skill. Okay, and in that way, and then after you should make maybe several drafts of your essays. Of course, one draft is not enough, because there are many people who are applying, and then yeah, you should like really try your best to make your essays look more unique. Also, you should ask for feedback. Of course, if you have teachers, if you have like mentors, if you have advisors, or like if you have any type of person who you think is like better in essays, or like maybe who is good in crafting stories and etc, you should try your best to approach to all of them, yeah, to identify your weaknesses, whether it's grammar or etc. Yeah, so that would be my suggestion. And then okay,
Can I ask a question?
yeah, we can. I can listen to your question at the end here. Okay, for the support, for the resources and support. Okay, so another strategies that I can suggest to you guys is to first get familiar with UWC itself. It's not only about the values, it's also about the UWC itself. Okay, what kind of things they have, maybe in their campus, maybe in their community, or like about the curriculum itself. So you guys maybe know about the curriculum that they teach, and that is the IB. You should have a you should have a complete understanding of what IB is. Okay, and then maybe you can correlate your activities. Maybe you can say that, okay, I studied maybe like these courses, and they all will be helpful for me to study IB and UWC and things like that. So you should know every single thing about UWC. and then you can know about this only in UWC's official website. You can just like go to the Google and then you can search UWC official website. Yeah, and also maybe you guys can go to the YouTube. Maybe you can search some YouTube videos that is about like that is about the life of UWC students, of like what they do. Maybe you can see their campuses. Maybe you can know about the activities that they do in daily life. Things like that. And then yeah, so that would be the resource, and then also the things that will help you get familiar with UWC itself. And so that is it. If you have like questions, now you can ask, and then after that I will go to the chat. Okay.
Can I?
Yeah. Go ahead.
So, if we write our essays and send it to you, will you check it? I mean, will you give some feedbacks?
Well, I'm not sure if I'm like someone, I'm not sure if I'm someone suitable to check your essays, because yeah, but I will still try my best to find a time, but I can still not guarantee that I can, find a time to check the essays. Yeah, maybe you can send one example and I can give you some feedback. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. And also, I have another question that you mentioned that we should start our essays by grabbing attention with a personal anecdote. Can you make an example for that? Like, I couldn't understand it clearly.
Okay, yeah. The personal anecdotes, right? Yeah, so as an example for that, I think I remember that I wrote one. For example, yeah, there's like a prompt that is about identify a challenge and what kind of activities you took and then what you learned from that, right? So in that essay, I kind of like wrote about the education things, about the prohibition of schools, universities, and etc. And then also I talked about my own activities, like my purpose, what decision I took, and then that decision helped me to achieve what kind of skills, what kind of roles, and etc. And then, for example, like in the reflection section, I said that it is important to add a personal anecdote, right? So maybe as an example of my own anecdote, I just said that, okay, I came up with the belief that there is always one light, even in the darkest tunnels. So that could be a personal anecdote. But you guys can take like, can write about other, things. So I think like that is it. Tasneem, do you want to speak?
Hello, thank you for giving me the floor. I actually had a question. So in the application, they have asked to upload our this year transcript alongside with our previous year transcript. So my first question is, how from which classes grades? I mean, we should upload the transcript. Should we upload from 7th to 10th, or just from 9 to 10th? This is my first question. The next question is, my transcript of 7th grade to 10th grade, they are all together in one sheet. And they have asked me to upload it twice from previous and now. So now what should I do? Should I upload it twice? Because all of them are together.
That makes sense. I actually have no idea on about that section, because for your first question, you said that which grades transcript I should add, right? It just asks about your current grades. For example, if you're studying in online school and you're in 10th grade, you should ask this year's transcript, and then about the last year's transcript, you can add maybe 9th grade transcript. But however, if you didn't study online school, and your last time of studying school was maybe like before coming of Taliban, and then you only studied fifth and sixth grade, you should add your grade 6 of transcript for your current studying time, and then you should add your fifth grade transcript for your previous transcript, previous year of transcript. Yeah. So I think I answered your question about for your second question. You said that your 7th, 9th, and 10th. Okay. Oh, 8th, 9th, and 10th grades, right? They're like all are compressed and compiled.
Yeah, all of them are
Yeah,
together.
they're like compiled.
Yeah.
So maybe you can ask your
in
school. Maybe you can ask your school staff to make another one for you.
Like separately.
Yeah, separately. Maybe you can ask them to make 2 files for you, or yeah, if there's like any option. But if not, I don't think it should raise any problem.
Okay.
Because you're gonna be providing the things that they ask, right?
Okay, so it's not gonna be a problem if I upload it twice, right?
I don't know actually. It was like my opinion, because I'm not someone who's like checking the application.
Okay, sorry for that. So I can go to school, refer back to school, and ask them to just give me the transcript of 10th grade and also 9th grade, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Mahnos?
Hello, I have a question about non-academic reference letter. I do already know about recommendation letter that we can ask it from our teachers to write it about for us, but how about the non-academic reference letter? About the boys, they can ask it from their coaches, but we do not have. And I'm working as a mentor in one academy. Can I ask my bosses and the ones that I'm working for them to write a non-academic reference letter for me?
Yeah, exactly. For the non-academic letter, I kind of like actually forgot about the instruction, because I was like writing my own recommendation letter at last year, so there's like a very great time, and I kind of like forgot. But about the non-academic recommendation, I think it is recommended that you should not take your recommendation letters from your school staff or like the courses that you were involved. But if you're like kind of working in some organizations, or like you're mentoring in some places, that would be advisable to take. Yeah, because like they're like not from school, and they'll also give you an age, and they'll be kind of strong. Yeah.
Okay.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I'm graduated from online school, and when I was waiting in school for course, so I joined online school, and I graduated last year. And my age is eligible, but what should I do in case of transcripts and in current grade? Should I upload just grade 10 and 11, or no, 12, 11, and 12?
Okay, so you graduated from online school. As long as your age is eligible, as long as your age meets the requirements, graduating from schools would not raise any problem, because it's not about grades, Yeah, so it shouldn't be a problem. You can just add your 12th grade transcript and then like the 11th one.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that is it. But yeah, I think those people's questions who the questions that aren't answered in the chat box.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So, hello everyone, I hope you are doing well. My question is this, did they ask about the IB in the interview? Can you please give me some information about the IB?
About the IB, you can research in the Google. However, I can give you some information about the
Okay.
IB. It is actually, like, I would say, one of the strongest curriculum, throughout the world, and it is very robust, rigorous, and then also, it really focuses on 6 particular subjects, and for the subjects you can choose them. For example, whether you want to choose math, English, chemistry, and it is related to the major that you want to study in the university. I kind of like
So
hacks
it
information, but
related to the
okay.
okay, that's it. I got it.
Okay.
And what about
Yes,
what about our information that you said? We shouldn't mention about ourselves, but we should show it in our essays. I said and I write in one of my essays that I'm the eldest girl in my family. Is it good, or I should just say all of my activities and all of my involvements?
Well, yeah, that is a great question. Just like I said before, don't let your activities overshadow your own story, about your social activities. Because it's also about personality, it's not only about achievements. So, just like as I said before, you should try your best to keep a balance between both. Don't only talk about your achievements, you should also talk about your family responsibilities, because that is also one of the value of UWC that you should, prioritize.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Okay. Hania.
I'm here. May I ask a question?
Okay.
uh, Miss, is the session finished? Can I left?
Yeah. You can leave.
May I ask a question?
Thank you so
Yeah,
much
you
from
can.
your time.
I'm in grade 8, and I am about to become 16 years old. I want to know if I'm eligible to apply for the UWC application.
Yeah, I think you can. If you were born in 2011, I think you can.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I have one more question. Can I ask it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so a friend of mine has no documents from the school because she had to leave each country in rush. For example, she was in Afghanistan, then she left Afghanistan, went to Iran, and now she is in PK. And so, what can she do for the UWC requirements of the documents? Because she cannot go back to the school because they have escaped the whole country.
Uh-huh.
So, what can she do?
Well, that is a great question. I actually, I'm gonna be honest, but I have no idea about this.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Do you have any website, or can I can find the answer in it, or anyone who can help?
Yeah, well, actually, maybe if your friend left the country in rush, maybe your
Uh-huh.
friend can get the files, get her transcripts online, maybe in WhatsApp, or maybe if she has any friends who is living in Afghanistan right now, maybe that friend can help her get her transcript from her school. I'm not sure if that would be like a great solution, but that was the last thing that popped up in my mind.
Okay. Okay, so she has to contact the school.
Yeah.
All right.
Whether online, I think,
Just
yeah.
yeah, online, and just for ninth grade and 10th grade.
Yeah, I think so.
And what if it's not like official? It's not official. She has gone to some schools, but she was there just to learn something because the school was hidden.
Mm, that can also. Well, I actually don't know. maybe you can do a bit of research about this. Maybe you can like search on Google or ask some AI, because I don't have any information about this. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so when the finalists of last year got announced, and why do you think that you got rejected, even though you like made it to the third stage?
Okay. So for the first question, I think the results were announced on 19th February in 2025, and for the reason why I got rejected, I actually don't know, because they didn't give me feedback about my performance in the virtual activity. So also, in addition, I really had a very bad internet connection. Maybe Mahtab remembers that as well. I was like, you know, I'm not sure if she is in the decision. I was like with her in the breakout room in the Zoom. She was telling me that I couldn't even like hear your voice. I couldn't even hear what you were talking about. So I'm not sure if that was the main reason, but there might be maybe other reasons. I'm not sure, because they didn't give me feedback. So yeah.
You mean Mahtar Batari?
Nope. Karamati.
Hello everyone, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
About non-academic reference, who can write it for us? I mean that from who we must ask to write it.
I think you can ask for this letter maybe anyone other than the people in your school or course, I think, because it is non-academic, right? Yeah.
It means that the office cannot, for example, I go in a center and I learn English and I asked from office and the manager told me that I can write it for you. It cannot be?
I don't think so, but yeah, it is non-academic, right? So it shouldn't be like too academic, because yeah, I think maybe you can get it from a friend, even if a friend can be eligible. Also, um, maybe even if you were, if you participated in a sport, or like maybe when you used to go to a gym, maybe you can ask the supervisor to give you a recommendation letter, or like it can also be a team member, right? Or like team member in a project, or like anyone. But teachers are not really recommended, because it is too academic. But you can even like read the title, it's like non-academic related, right? So yeah.
So it means that if I work in a clinic, the doctor can write it, yes?
Yeah. Any other
Okay, thank
question?
you.
And there is a Discord, I think, Discord of UWC. Can we join there and share our essays?
Okay. I don't know about what Discord channel you're talking about, I'm sorry, because I'm not in that group.
Okay. It's UWC, okay. There are lots of people.
Okay, yeah. Maybe I think I'm in that group. I kind of like remembered. There are a group of alumni who are studying in UWC right now. Maybe you can find, those people, and then you can send your essays. That was also something that I did. That I also did that way. I just like found the person in that group, and then I kind of sent my essays, and then the person gave me feedback. But that was not really that constructive. Yeah.
How we can find you to send our essays to you? Mine is completed. I'm gonna submit it, but I have some mentors. If you check it, it would be great.
Okay,
But I don't
great.
know how to share with you.
Okay. Yeah, you can send me if I have the time. I will check it. Okay.
Are you in the group?
Which group? I'm sorry.
The WhatsApp group that we find the link,
Yeah.
this meeting link. Okay.
Yeah. Any other question, guys? I think it's finished, and then have a great night for all of you, and yeah, see you guys later.